Okay, hi everyone. So it's October 6, 2024. I want to talk about the 2024 election that's coming up. I want to talk about who's going to be the better candidate for those that are being targeted by the U.S. government and those who are being targeted by corrupt law enforcement officials. Just because you're not being targeted by a certain agency doesn't mean they should ignore the cries of the American people. They should be investigating something called psychological operations or gang stalking, but you know what happens when they investigate their own. So I think last time I was here last time I was sitting on a rock, this was all the way down that side, about, I want to say about 25 yards, and the lifeguard saw me and told on me, so the cops came and told me to leave, but I don't think I see any lifeguard today, so it should be okay. So first thing I want to talk about is two individuals. One of them is Alan Lichtman. He's a historian. The second one is Brendan Biggs, which is a prophet. Now, Alan Lichtman, he predicted correctly 9 out of 10 last elections. So the only one he got wrong was the 2000 Bush versus Al Gore. And he says he's using these 13 key states. Or 13 keys. And he states that the candidate who wins more keys will most likely become the president. Now this guy Lichtman, he's predicting that Kamala Harris has more keys. I believe he calls them keys, and she's going to be the victor of the 2024 election. Now, he also said that the only way he's wrong is if people go out in large numbers and they vote for Donald Trump. So that's the only way Kamala Harris loses from his point of view. So that's Alan Lichtman. He recently made that prediction, I believe in the last few months or so. Another guy I want to talk about his name is Brendan Biggs. He claims to be a prophet. He predicted that Donald Trump would be shot, which happened back in July. Now, Mr. Biggs is predicting that Donald Trump will actually be the victor. So I think both of them are right in their own way, and here's what I mean. I'm going to make my prediction for the 2024 election. So the 2024 election will look like the 2020 election. This is my point of view. Donald Trump will be ahead before the midnight. Now, in the middle of the night, that's when Kamala Harris will start gaining more and more votes, and that's when she'll be ahead of Donald Trump. I don't think the election will be decided on November 5th. So they're probably going to have some votes. And when I say they, I mean the Socialist Democrats. They're going to have some votes sitting on the side so they can count them in case, you know, Kamala Harris is behind. So, and I believe that's what's going to happen. Now, it's up to Republicans to be prepared for that. Any and all election fraud needs to be investigated right away, and people need to be held accountable. So, illegal aliens cannot vote, period. It's unconstitutional in most, if not all, states. Now, California and New York, they're gonna do what they do all the time, right? We don't care about those states because they've been Democrats for many years. But swing states need to be observed very closely. We cannot, you know, Republicans cannot lose swing states like Pennsylvania, right? Michigan, Ohio. Those states the Republicans really need to fight for. And this is coming from an independent. I'm not even a Republican. This is coming from an independent. If you first, I want to take you guys back to 2016 election. And when Donald Trump first began running for presidency, I believe he had identified himself as an independent. He switched to a Republican Party because he knew that he had a small shot winning as an independent. That's why he switched over to the Republican Party. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm a Republican, because there's plenty of Republicans that are corrupt and dirty as well. Some of them are called rhinos, right? They claim they're Republicans, but they work with the Democrats. The traitors. They're cowards. These are the kind of people that voted for FISA back in April. And I'm just going to briefly touch on that. Back in April 2024, around 63% of Congress voted for FISA. Not only did they vote for these dirty, corrupt intel agencies to spy on you, the American people, they voted for them to spy on you without a warrant. What does that tell you about Congress? 63% of them are traitors. That's what I believe. So, I don't know if I'm yelling, but it's a little loud with the waves. Anyway, I also want to talk about socialism and communism. I think I'm going to start off with communism. So communism is a cashless, classless, assetless society. What happens to communism and communists is they surrender to the government. They surrender most of what they own to the government. They bend over and they take it and take it. So these are your commies. They have no rights because they don't value rights. They don't value freedom. Now socialism is a stage, is the first stage towards communism. It's the redistribution of wealth And you don't have to be wealthy for Kamala Harris to come and try to give away your stuff to someone who's lazy and is refusing to work, right? Redistribution of wealth. So, and I'm going to give you an example with that. Let's say Tyrone and I start a job, right? The same day, we'll get the same pay. 5 years later, Tyrone is doing half the work that I'm doing, yet he gets paid the same that I do. This is Kamala's America. We have this today, but it's going to be more widespread. It's going to be more prevalent. This is what she's pushing for. This is her equality. This is her definition of equality, right? Lazy people not doing much and they get paid the same that the hardworking people do. So that's wrong. That's very wrong. So that's socialism. Now I also want to talk about Marxism. Karl Marx, he was I guess he was more of a socialist than a communist. He might have been a closeted communist, but yeah, that book he wrote, The Communist Manifestation, he really doesn't describe, and I didn't read it too much, but he really doesn't differentiate between communism and socialism. So that's why I say that he might have been a closeted communist, but so, and women, if you're thinking about voting for Kamala Harris is a socialist Marxist, okay? Her father, I heard her father was a Marxist. Now, I have an issue with Karl Marx, and here's my issue and my message to the women that are thinking of voting for Kamala Harris. Karl Marx boned the family's housemate when his wife was out on a trip. She was out for a little while. She was out for a while, for about 9 months. So he boned the housemate. She got pregnant. And some people are denying that it was his baby, but it happened when the wife was out for 9 months. So he boned the housemate. He cheated. Karl Marx was a cheater. And that's who Kamala Harris is supporting. Now, Karl Marx, he also inherited large sums of money from his father. And then what did he do? He squandered it. That's who the man was. He was a bum. He had no real job, he had no real ambitions, no real goals. And people are still voting for socialism, Marxism, and even communism. I mean, it baffles the mind. These are imbeciles. Some individuals, they just don't learn from history at all. These are not very bright people. And what scares me is there's so many of them. There's almost half the country. So women, if you're thinking about voting for Kamala Harris, you're going to be voting for cheater Karl Marx. Now I'm hoping that there's no cheating from the Democrats on the election day or the next day, but I don't have high hopes. And I don't know if I have trust in the system anymore. It's still not going to prevent me from voting, but I'm just very skeptical after what we've seen in the 2020 election. Skepticism and concern. Just very concerned. But this is why Republicans need to do their jobs. They need to investigate anything and everything that looks suspicious. Illegal aliens cannot vote. And I believe there's a reason why the Democrats have been sending them to states like Ohio and Pennsylvania. So this is what the Republicans need to watch out for. And personally, I believe these elections, they need to be determined by midnight. That's why we have early voting. People, vote early so there's no excuses as to, why they couldn't count all the votes. Now I'm going to be registering to vote in the next few days or so. Hopefully I hear back in the next few weeks and I can vote a little early. I'm encouraging everyone to vote a little early so they can count all the votes and they don't have any excuses as to why they have to go the next day or why they need another week to count all the votes. That's a bunch of horse shit, if you ask me. So the elections need to be decided on November 5th, 2024, which is the election day. Is it November 4th or November 5th? I heard it's November 5th this year, so I'm going to go with November 5th. Whichever is the first day needs to be decided by midnight. If you're being targeted by the government, and I'm wrapping up, Donald Trump is promising to dismantle the deep state. The deep state are the dirty, corrupt politicians, the dirty, corrupt intel agencies such as CIA, FBI, NSA, DOD, DOJ. Half of the federal government needs to be dismantled. They need to lose their jobs. Some of them need to be in prison. So if you don't serve for the American people, get the hell out now. And that's my message. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.